4th of September, Rabbi Moore, Parsha Hashavua with Rashi. Seitze.
Fine. Okay.
Hello, Rabbi Moore. How are you?
Hashem. Very good. Okay. Parsha with the most mitzvahs this week. Parsha's Seitze. Okay. By the way, the vast majority, it's interesting, the three parshas which have the most mitzvahs, maybe, I'm not sure how many Emor has. Emor also has a lot of mitzvahs. I think that's number 2 in things. But you've got Parshas Mishpatim and Parshas Kadoshim and Parsha Seitze. They alone cover about exactly about 180 mitzvahs themselves, those three parshas alone. If you include the parshas Emor, it's another 63. Parshas Mishpatim has 52. Parshas Kedoshim has 50 something. I don't remember exactly. It's 100, and this was Parshas 74. So there's about 180 mitzvahs. Those three parshas, just those three parshas alone, which is about 30% of all the mitzvahs in three parshas. And in addition, the vast majority of mitzvahs ben Adam lachaveiroi, right, mitzvahs which are involved in man and his fellow man, are in those one of those three parshas: Mishpatim, Kedoshim, and this week's Parsha Seitze. Okay. Anyway, let's begin. Leah, Seitze la milchama lo yevech. Pasuk Yud.
Okay. Yud. Oh, okay. Okay. Ki teitze la milchama o al oivecha unetano Hashem Elokecha biyadecha v'shavita shivyo. Okay, so when you go to war against your enemies, Hashem God Yadecha is in your hand.
Unsonoi, Hashem, your God, will give them over.
Oh, Usnan. Oh, okay. We'll give them over.
Literally him over. It's actually used as singular. It's the Mefarshim dwell on this. It says starts off al ovecha, plural.
Okay, we'll give him over.
It's interesting. I just see now here the Balaturim says it's written Chose Yud, even though in our Sifrei Torah it is written with a
Yud.
And he says, because that really answers my question. According to the Balaturim, my question is not a question. According to our Girsa, that is with a Yud, He said, al oyevecha, plural, against your enemies. Un sanoi, Hashem elekecha b'yodecha. And Hashem will give him into your hand, literally.
Uh-huh.
I don't know, Rashi doesn't dwell on this. Okay? And then afterwards it says, V'shabisa shivyo, you will capture his captive.
Oh, okay.
Means the enemy's captive you will capture.
Uh-huh. Okay. So let's see. Rashi says, Ki tetzei lamilchama. Okay, which you just said, when you go out to war. B'milchemet harashut, no, harishut, hakatuv medaber, sheb'milchemet Eretz Yisrael.
So no, should carry on, comma.
Okay.
Chemes Eretz Yisrael, ein loima b'shabisa shivyo.
Oh, I have the Shavita, Ein Lomar Shivyo. Okay.
Okay,
Sharei Kevar Ne'emar Lo Tichayet Kol Neshama. Okay, so when you go out to war, Mechemet Harishu, this is a
and the Chemes Harishos, which means a, how do I say it? Not a voluntary is the right word. An optional war, meaning
oh,
the
it's an
person.
optional war.
Let me see how I translated it. Just hold on a minute. Hold on. Seitze. Yeah, optional war. This verse is discussion of optional war. Meaning, if whatever reason, for national political reasons, the king or the leader of the Jewish people decides we need to go out to war. Lamaisa, at the end of last week's Parsha, we also discussed this similar kind of thing about besieging another city, mustn't cut down fruit trees, these other things. Okay?
Uh-huh. Right.
You have to offer them. Okay? All these things are applied to an optional war, meaning if the leader of the Jewish people feels a need to go out to war, to either the enemies are surrounding, enemies are attacking, and need to go to subdue the attackers, whatever the reason. Anyway, I'll call upon him what Rashi's pointed out. But as far as conquering Eretz Yisrael is concerned, okay, Milchemes Eretz Yisrael, okay, with regard to the war in order to conquer Eretz Yisrael, then it wouldn't say, carry on.
Oh, the Ein Lomar Shivyo. Oh, it wouldn't say take captives, I guess.
Right.
Okay. Shekavar Shnemar, because it already said Lo Tichayek Kol Neshama. Okay, so you will not let anyone live.
Right. Must not let any soul live.
Uh-huh.
Although it's interesting, as far as the the war to conquer Eretz Yisrael is concerned, there's somewhat a couple of places the Torah seems not to contradict itself, but it seems to different options that are available. Meaning, originally, and the Ma'aseh says, Chazal say that Yeshua sent letters to the people of the Canaan, the land of Canaan, all the 7 nations living in the land of Canaan. He sent them letters saying, I give you 3 choices. You have 3 choices. Either you can run away, go somewhere else, or convert, or stay to do battle, and then you're in the danger of being, not this danger, we're for sure going to defeat you, but you're going to take that risk. Okay?
Okay.
So, but that doesn't contradict the fact it says Lo Sechaya Kol Neshama. Right? Because the Rambam says that was only before they had actually begun, and the Jewish people had entered Eretz Yisrael and begun the stage of war. So then the 3 options were open. And in fact, it says the Girgoshi, one of the 7 nations, they did actually leave. And they were not, and therefore they're not later on when it mentions that when the Jewish people conquered Eretz Yisrael, the Girgoshi are not mentioned at Bichlal. Because they ran away.
Yeah, but aren't they mentioned in Nehemiah?
Girgoshi?
Yeah, we say it every morning, I think.
No, it
Yeah.
actually does not.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah,
Yirgashi? Right before Yishtabach. Hold on.
You know exactly where you mean. He's going to get a signal here. Choresi Mabris assistant at Eretz HaKnanya.
No, hold it.
Says that, it says it will give them the
Oh,
land.
maybe.
Yeah, it says they will give them the land of the Girgoshi.
Oh. You establish a covenant with him. Oh, to give the land. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, so
Where is it? I have it over here. Section 9.
it's in like the 3rd paragraph. Vivarech David. The 3rd, it says, the Karoti Mo Habrit Latate.
Yosef says, Eretz HaKnani, Achiti, Amei, Hapizi, V'Hayivusi, V'Hagirgoshi, Lo Seitze Zaroi, Hatokom Es T'Borecho Ki Tzadikot. He says you're going to give them the land. In fact, in a couple of places, they are mentioned in the Torah that, just 1 second, I'm just trying to remember now. And the Beschanan, I think. Yeah. If you go back to chapter Zayin, Pasuk Zayin. Sorry, chapter Zayin, Pasuk Aleph, on Shvi of Parshas Veschanan. Ki v'yachor Hashem elokech l'oretz asher tov Hashem l'shto v'noshal goyim rabim miponecho. Hachiti v'hagirgoshi v'ha'emei v'ha'knani v'ha'pizi v'ha'chivi v'ha'yevusi. Shiva goyim rabim v'atzumim mimeka.
Oh,
Okay.
it's right from the Torah. Oh, okay.
So that's mentioned. That's actually one of the only places. I'm not sure if it's the only place or one of the only places where it mentions all 7 nations by name. Most often, not all 7 mentioned. But anyway, but afterwards it says when they actually, I'm just trying to remember now where else it mentions that the Girgoshi is not mentioned, where it actually refers to the mitzvah of driving them out. Here it says, "V'noshal goyim rabim mipanecha." Elsewhere it says, I don't remember exactly where it is. Maybe it was in the end of in Parshas Matos, I think it was. Maybe it was in Parshas Matos, Matos or Maseh, Parshas Maseh. But I don't remember exactly. Anyway, Akoponim, so it says on one Lo Sachai Kol Neshama. So the Rambam explains that only once they've come to the stage of Milchama, was once the Jewish people entered the land to conquer the land, then they had the Goyim, the 7 nations had lost their option, ready to run away and to make peace, or to convert. There was no option anymore.
Oh,
And that's and then if regarding that it says Lo Yitzchai Kol Neshama. So here we're talking about Ki Seitze Lam Milchama Lo Yevecha. They've already gone out to battle. Okay, so therefore
This
there's
is
no.
This is not that war.
I know, no, I'm saying. So Rashi is explaining this war cannot be referring to the war of conquering Eretz Yisrael, because it would not say V'shavisa Shivyoy. Because once the Jewish people were in the stage of conquering Eretz Yisrael, there was no longer an option to to take captives anymore. Because all the people there, what they did was Lo Sachaya Kol Neshama. So Rashi's logic, I mean Rashi's how should we say point of thought, right, is valid. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's see the next Rashi. V'shavisa shivyoy.
Okay, Vishavita Shivyo, you will capture its captives, I guess.
Right.
Rabot Knaanim Shebitocha the Af al Pi Shehem Misheva Umot.
Okay. Okay, meaning,
Yeah.
why is it the Torah says? It just says V'shavisa mayhem, right? You capture from them. What's the point of Torah telling you you capture its captives? It means including, in words, not just the indigenous members of these nations, of your enemy nations, but also the people whom they captured. So Rashi's saying that includes that even if they have captured a member of the Canaanite nation, and this Canaanite, who was erstwhile Canaanite, is now a captor of one of these surrounding nations, right? Then you're allowed to take him as a captive, and you've got no obligation to put him to death, to kill him.
Oh.
Okay. Now it's interesting fact. This is one of the. It's interesting that I think I mentioned this. I can't remember in what context, but I mentioned it before. A Chinaman who goes to live in America. Is he a Chinaman now or an American?
He's a Chinese American.
Right. The point is that by the Goyim, right, where the person is determines who he is. What I mean is that even though he may have originally lived in the land of Canaan, when he now goes to live in Saudi Arabia, okay, then he's no longer a Canaanite, because now he's living in Saudi Arabia, and the chiddush of this possibility, even if he's a captive of a a Saudi Arabian, but he doesn't, maybe he intends as soon as he gets free, would like to go back to Canaan. Nevertheless, right now he's living in Saudi Arabia. He's a Saudi Arabian. He's not a Canaanite anymore. And Mamela, you've got no obligation to kill him. Okay? Right. There's another thing I want to point out in this pasuk, the Mefarshim, the many Bali Musa, whatever, use this pasuk as a marshal for our everyday, should we say, ongoing battle that we have against the Yetzer Hara. So it says, okay, when you go to battle against your enemies, who are your enemies? That's talking about the Yetzer Hara. So why is it mentioned in the plural? Because the Yetzer Hara takes on many guises. One day he may be, one time he may be a newspaper, trying to attract your attention to spend time reading the newspaper. Another time he may be a friend calling and telling you all the local gossip. And the third time it may be something else, distracting you from, or chas v'sholem, trying to entice a person to do an avera. And that's why it says, in the singular, you should be aware that this, or even may seem these distractions are all different distractions, right? But don't be misled to think that, well, okay, it's this, and it's number one, number two, number three, number four, all different things. No, the distractions all have one source. It's all the Yetzer Hara, same, should we say, force, which is trying to lead you away, draw a person away from either learning Torah or keeping the mitzvahs, but it's all based on the same I can't call it individual, let's call him. Same individual, the same Yetzer Hara, just he takes on different guises. That's why it appears as Oyevecha, your enemies, plural, but in fact it's a singular. And so Hashem will give him into your hand. And there's another important point is V'shaviso shivyoy. You shall capture his captive, which means as follows, that Kosh Baruch Hu only gives a person tests to give a person a challenge that he can improve himself. And if a person knows, if he knows he's being challenged, Seitze means he's got a battle now with the Yetzer Hara, he should realize the point of the whole battle is the Shaviso Shivya, you should capture, you should get something out of it, right? It should be able to raise your level of connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, raise your your commitment to learning, commitment to keeping mitzvahs, but it's all a challenge. The Yetzer Hara comes to try and challenge you. The whole purpose is to upgrade yourself. The Shavisa Shivya, you'll be able to capture something from it. Okay? Let's continue. Pasuk Yud Aleph.
V'ra'isa b'shivya eshes yafas toar v'chashakta va v'lakachta lecha leisha. And you will see among its captivity a woman.
Or among the captives, I would say better. Yeah. Okay. Even Bashivya is a general term for
A woman beautiful of form,
right?
and you will desire her. You will take her to yourself for a wife.
By the way, generally, we have this mentioned by Rochel. She was also a fastoya, and mentioned by others. Right? Generally referring to the toya haponim, to the facial features, rather than referring to the body features. Okay. But anyway, this is a beautiful woman, beautiful appearance, and you desire her and you take her as a wife. Okay? Says Rashi.
Afilu Ashes Ish, even a married woman.
Oh, I see. You got the order different. Okay?
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, no, you have the order. I have the Rashis in a different order. Okay, fine, very good. Ashes Yifas Torah, Ashes Afilu Ashes Ish. Now it's interesting that the Rambam says that even among Goyim, there's a concept of marriage, even vis-a-vis, shall we say, the performance of marriage by Goyim is a totally different form of marriage than there is among Jews, because by Jews you have a two-stage form of marriage. You have kiddushin, which is basically means that you have designated this woman to be your wife, and therefore she's already forbidden to others, but she's not yet permitted to live with until nisuin is done, which is the second stage. Okay, nowadays we do them together under the chuppah, both kiddushin and nisuin. But akopanim, till not so long ago, there was quite a big gap. They would do a kiddushin, right, which means the part of the husband would say to the wife, "Hari at mekudeshesli," and give her a ring, and she would now be actually not just betrothed, but she would be married to her husband, but they would not yet live together. And then after she prepared her trousseau and everything, everything, then the husband would bring the wife into his house, and they would have a nisuin ceremony, which exactly is a machlekes what it was, exactly what is exactly the form of nisuin, and then she would be a fully fledged wife. Okay, but among the goyim there is no such thing. The Rambam says the goy decides, without any particular kinyan for that matter, that the two of them decide together, okay, let's live together as husband and wife, but there is a certain commitment on both sides, then that is marriage among the goy. Okay, so technically, what they have a civil marriage, technically, as far as the goyim are concerned, that is a proper marriage, and therefore, certainly as far as the goyim are concerned, the goyim are one of the seven sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach. One of the seven Noachide laws is that immoral relationships are forbidden. So what's considered an immoral relationship as far as taking somebody else's wife? You know, somebody's a woman who says she's married. The answer is that if a man has designated this woman to be his wife, and this is the accepted practice in wherever, among the goyim, wherever the particular community or society they're living in, and this is accepted as being husband or wife, then this woman is now a married woman, and therefore no other man is allowed to live among the goyim, is allowed to live with her. Okay?
V'lakachta lecha leisha, and you will take her to yourself for a wife. Lo dibra sora ella ki neged yetzer hara. The Torah only spoke against the Yetzer Hara. She'im ein hakadosh baruch hu matira, that if Hashem would not make her permissible, Yisa'ena be'isur, he would marry her in a forbidden manner. Aval im nisa'a, but if he will marry her, sofo lios son'a, in the end, he will hate her.
Right.
The
Shenema,
end will be that he will hate her.
and I'll explain to you in a minute why. Okay.
Shne'emar acha rav.
Right. It says
Says
afterwards.
afterwards, ki siena leish vigomer. If there will be two wives to a man, etc.
Right, and then Pasuk says, one whom he loves and one whom he hates. Okay?
Right. The
This concept-
sofo leo lead mimena, and in the end, he will father from her ben sorer umore, a wayward and rebellious son. The chach nis mechu par shios halalu. And thus these passages were juxtaposed.
Very good. Exactly. Very good. These sections of the Torah were juxtaposed one to the other, to follow on one from the other. Okay? Now, the point is as follows. A marriage, how it should be that the two partners, the man and the wife, they feel a common goal, they like each other's character, they want to build a home together. But when the attraction for the man to the woman is based purely on physical attraction, then there's a major danger that once the physical attraction wanes, then, well, okay, he discovers her character is not such exactly something he really wanted in a wife. Okay, so that's what that's what the pasuk says. For Isa Bashivya Ashes Yifas Toya, he saw a woman of beautiful appearance. The Choshak Toba, a cheshek comes from the word based on has a lust for her, which is not based on a real ahav or a love. It doesn't say he loves her. Choshak Toba, and elsewhere Rashi says that Rashi says in the pasuk Yud Gimel that she's got to take off her garments of her captivity. Okay, which Rashi explains that the goyim, when they would go out to battle, they would bring their young ladies, and they would, as they say, dress to kill, in order to entice the enemy soldiers. So the whole thing was based on purely a physical attraction. So therefore, even though the Torah allows it, because the Torah understands what tremendous tension and pressure these soldiers are when they go into battle, and therefore when the adrenaline is high, right, they have very little control over their lust, over their urges. So Mela, the Torah says that if we wouldn't permit this Goyish young lady to this soldier, Jewish soldier, then Chas v'Shalom, he would do it, he would marry her, or should we say he would have relations with her illicitly. So therefore the Torah says, we allow you, the soldiers, to have relations with this woman, but then afterwards you've got to show that you really love her, rather than just have a physical infatuation for her. And therefore, that's why the Torah says all these things. You've got to bring her into a house, take her away, do things which will take away her physical beauty, etc. And Mela, as we're going to see in the Psukim, that's why that's the whole idea over here. By the way, okay, we will discuss again tomorrow, Bezat Hashem. We have to understand who were the soldiers here, who were the Jewish soldiers who went out to battle, what kind of people they were. Okay? Well, Bezat Hashem, we'll discuss it more tomorrow. Okay?
Okay, good.
Very
Yes,
good.
okay.
Fine. Very good. Have a good
Okay.
day.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Good day.
Okay.
Traders too. Okay.